This is 13 Minutes. I'm Elliot Reeves. My guest today is Maxwell Muir. Max, it's great to have you here. Welcome to the show.
My good friend, it's good to see you again.
It's great to see you. It actually just occurred to me that you might be the only person that's done an Inspired Edinburgh interview, an Elliot Reeves show interview, and now a 13-minute interview. So that's a coup in itself, right?
I actually thought about that at 4:30 this morning when I was going out for a walk. You know, I thought I'm an Elliot Reeves show today, and my wife says, "What, Inspired Edinburgh?" I says, "No, I've done that. I've done his podcast. This is 13 Minutes with Elliot Reeves." All right, okay.
This is the real one, the live one.
This is the big. This is for all the marbles. Yeah.
Oh, great stuff. So what I've been doing in this series, Max, is allowing people to introduce themselves. So who's Maxwell Muir?
Who's Maxwell Muir? Oh, Maxwell Muir's many things. Self-discovery person. He has many passions in different areas. He just loves life. He gets up each day with a spring in his step, and he's up for a challenge and doesn't suffer fools gladly. He's got no time in his life for messing about. I'm just in a hurry to get the most from everything, you know.
Excellent. So you, I guess professionally speaking, how would you best describe yourself these days?
Well, I've shifted. There's been a slight shift from the coaching spectrum to coaching speakers, the mental game, it being performance ready. So that's the new business, performance ready speakers. I'm still very active as a dog trainer as well. So on those two levels, it's great. And coupling that with my personal development, I'm having a really good time with that.
Yeah. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. It's funny because we were talking just before this started about Francis Ngannou actually was what came up, but I guess UFC in general. What it's interesting because obviously they're really the first sport actually to start putting events on during this crisis. What are your thoughts on everything that's happening just now with the UFC?
Well, when I go to Joe Rogan's comment, and he says, "How can social distancing work when two men are fighting in a cage?" But I must say, from a professional standpoint, they've stuck their neck out. That they've covered it really, really well, and that they've addressed a need during this lockdown that's happening over the globe that their fan base has. So, you know, if one thing the UFC are good about, they deliver, and they delivered what they can. The last card that they delivered was completely stacked with quality, and I think what they're doing is good. You know, it takes one organization or one strong head, whether it's an individual or an organization, to stick their head out, and then the rest are sort of willing to take a chance on things. So, you know, kudos to Dana White and the UFC for doing that.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, I was looking at the MMA Undergrounds this morning, and the Nova União coach Andre Pederneiras, he's tested positive for COVID-19, and obviously the fighters in his camp, like your Jose Aldo's and whatnot. So I don't know how that's going to affect things, but it'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
It certainly is. It's a minefield, but it's a minefield of self-discovery now. You know, the human beings are very social creatures, both in a business sense and in a natural way, and we can only contain them for so long. You know, 3-4 months. That could, but you know, what's people going to do? We have to move forward. You know.
Yeah. I see the latest announcement. I don't know whether there's anything to it, but Kamaru Usman versus Conor McGregor is what's now being rumoured.
Well, that gives me goosebumps, Elliot, because that's a matchup that I would make. And I remember Usman tweeted saying, "Why do you all want to see this guy die?" You know, but
yeah.
Conor believes it, and it's a fight to make. You know, I think it's a good fight.
Yeah, so do I. I would absolutely love to see that, I have to say. That would be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. So how have you been keeping yourself entertained and sane throughout this lockdown period?
I've actually enjoyed it immensely.
Yeah.
Just for my own experience, I've been keeping in shape. I've been getting out regularly, so up early, out walking and doing stuff. Lots of personal projects, working on my business, working on myself, and just enjoying this tranquilness. I think it's been good. I haven't been ill at all, so I'm very fortunate that way.
Hmm.
No one in my family's been ill. So yeah, it's been like a riding a wave.
Really?
From a selfish point of view, I've actually benefited from it. Like from a self-development perspective, hugely.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, what sort of insights have you got on that?
Lots of time to reflect,
Hmm.
lots of time to look at where I was wasting time,
Okay.
lots of time to ponder on what matters most, and going forward as well. Also going forward, but I think if we haven't been ill, lots of people have tended to get frustrated with the time, or they've used the time solely for pleasure, watching TV box sets, drinking, smoking, stuff like that.
Hmm.
I just think it's been a perfect time to really. Of course, I'm out in the sticks. I live rurally, so I'm not in a big city or a built-up area where I'm perhaps restricted where I can go. I can get out here and walk 4 or 5 miles, and it's not a problem. But I will use, me, I will use whatever's available to me just to get myself ahead a step or two.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because you say some people have used the time to just, I can't remember the term that you use, but I know what you mean, just kind of let, enjoy things. I've probably had the full pie chart in that, in that regard, in the sense of it has prompted me to think about a lot of things. There's a lot of things that I've developed in, but there's also ways that I probably have done things that I probably shouldn't have as well.
Yeah.
Just in terms of like, yeah, I've enjoyed the occasional beer, which is actually quite unlike me, but the Brewdog Punk IPAs have been going down quite nicely at night. uh,
Okay. Okay.
but smoking's
I
one that
mean, I
actually
didn't
I've
start like
avoided.
that.
Say again?
Yeah. I didn't start that way. I mean, the first couple of weeks it's like a holiday. So
Yeah.
you do a bit more than normal. You watch a bit more TV. You have another glass of wine type thing. But after
Hmm.
that, I thought, oh, that's it. And once we were given specific dates that this can go to the end of May, end of June, end of July, I thought I'm just going to put my head in gear,
Hmm.
get on with things, and live each day my way. So
It's the best thing for it.
that that's important. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, in what way, Max, do you think the world might change as a result of what we're seeing just now?
My professional world certainly changed. The
Hmm.
speaking world has changed
Hmm.
quite a bit for now. Uh, there's been different attitudes towards it. So everyone's now a virtual speaker. I am not an experienced virtual speaker. I've started virtual speaking. I've started to speaking to people virtually, but as far as delivering presentations and keynotes, I did one webinar. Uh, Strange experience, I have to
Hmm.
say. I've missed the intimate connection, but I feel some people have made this complete shift and the stage is dead, but that's all going to come back. It might be late 21, it might be 22, but there's still good time to, prepare for all that. It's certainly shown us how fragile a society that we do have. Uh,
Yeah.
COVID's happened through human practices, and if we'd been more caring and more aware and more prepared, it needn't have got to the level that it got to. That's certainly my viewpoint on it. And, I think a lot of things could have been done differently. So if we learn from that, great. But there's been some ludicrous and even dark, humorous things that have been said about it. You just need to look over the pond for that. But
Yeah, yeah.
I think everyone has played a part as a country, and we don't know what knowledge was out there and how soon it was out there. But I think it's
Yeah.
created some radical shifts in cultures, practices, and people's viewpoint, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How would you like to see things change?
I would like to see a more caring perspective on how we look after our world,
Mm-hmm.
how we look after our animal kingdom, how we care for an environment, because that's really the one thing that has improved. I was watching some program, Elliot, and it was above the major cities in the world. So with all the usual travel, and you had all this dark smog from the fumes and everything. So the environment, in many ways, it has benefited just getting a rest from human activity, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would like us to recognize that and say, you know, do we have to do things the way we used to do it? The planet is benefiting in lots of different ways. For goodness sake, we're seeing dolphins going up the canal in Venice.
Yeah.
Who knows what other positive life-changing changes are being made out there. So I would just like to see us care a bit more. Carelessness has had a lot to do with COVID happening and spreading.
Yeah. 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 It's true. It's true. What advice or insights would you give to anyone that was struggling just now, Max?
Struggling in what way? Poverty or
Yeah,
restriction?
I just guess like just emotionally, any words that you would offer to someone.
I think as far as our mental health and well-being, it's certainly affected a lot of people on the downside of that, you know. I think it's might even have improved a lot of people's mental health and well-being, but you know, there'll be both sides to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult when you see your business go down the toilet. And it's very difficult when you're trying to hang on to the fragments of a business that was perhaps performing well. It's maybe in its first 2 or 3 years. Some of my best friends, that's happened. You know, they've seen total collapse in their business. The friends that I do know are very strong people, and it's to remember that what we have is not everything that we have. It's not all we've got. We have this great ability to reinvent ourselves. And coming from a person who's lost everything in life once or twice, as life-changing as that can be, I'm still here. I'm still swinging. I still have this attitude that I can change things, that I can make things better. If I've got nothing in my pocket, that's a great start. You know, I can't go any lower.
Yeah.
You know, most people have been frightened of losing their homes, losing their money. They've lost their money, but I don't know of anyone who's lost their homes, you know, but things don't get that bad that you don't have the ability to go on. But I also think it's up to the governments to provide support for people that need it as well, you know.
Yeah.
And not everyone's that strong, so.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks for that answer, Max. I really appreciate that. That was a very powerful insight, so really good stuff. Where can people find you?
People, predominantly right now, people can get me on my LinkedIn page. That's the most active page I'm on at the moment. The last coaching website is down, so that's up. If people need their dog trained, I also have a dog training website, actionfordogs.co.uk. I'm a very experienced dog trainer, and that's actually a business that's been thriving for a while. You know, that hasn't dropped at all.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, my friend, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Look after yourself.
13 minutes.
That's it. That's all we get, you know? So it's all over. But no, it's been great to chat, Max.
Fabulous experience as always, Elliot. Let's do it again.
For sure. Take care, my
man.
Stay lucky. Cheers.